Yo, testing, 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 testing. I wonder if chat can hear me now. Chat, can you hear me now? Oh my god. Hello? Good morning. What's up, Fridges? It's nice to see you back. I'm sorry I wasn't on yesterday. Yesterday, I'm not gonna lie, I hit a wall, I got tired. I hit a wall, I got tired. I hit a wall, I got tired.
I have a dream.
But I'm back today, and we're gonna extend this marathon by a day. Just because I missed yesterday. But it's nice to see you. It's nice to see you, Fridges Law. I hope we get all the chatters back in the chat. I loved having everybody in the chat this week. Fridges Law says take breaks. Oh my god, I was hanging out with friends. I'm happy that you were hanging with friends. I'm happy this isn't your only means of whatchamacallit. I guess entertainment. How was hanging with your friends? I gotta delete some stuff because I'm not gonna lie, this is acting up a little bit. Can't have the stream crash. Can't have the stream crash. I don't know if we're gonna play. We're $200 away from spinning the wheel. I don't know if we gonna hop on Minecraft or Roblox. But we gonna do something for a while. Wonderful. Played GTA and Uno. Oh my god. You could play GTA multiplayer? Did y'all just like watch each other play? That's so cute. That's so cute. Like what type of GTA did you play too? I guess that's a question. Deleting all these screens. Okay. We should be good. We should be good. It should run smoothly. At least I
I have a dream.
No, we just watched each other. She was stuck on a mission and I helped her out. Aw, they're still playing through GTA? In the big 2025, there's still GTA playthroughs? Oh my god. Have they not been spoiled yet? Do they know what happens at the end? Do y'all know what happens at the end, chat? Have y'all played through the end of GTA? Need some wood. That's cute though. Watching each other play GTA is cute. Give me some berries. Look at that. We're reaping the rewards of our labor. So much berries. So much berries. Oh my god, Minecraft. Yeah, AJ. Ah! Ah! Them berries hurt. These niggas hurt. Neither of us had played it before. None of y'all played GTA before? No way. That makes no sense to me because when I guess GTA was like in my high school, everybody had GTA. Everyone was playing through at the same time. So this is wild to me to say that there's some GTA fans who haven't played through the whole thing. I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end, but it gets hectic. You need to keep playing. You need to keep playing that story. It's a good story. Oh god. Someone in the chat said if I slayed this Ender Dragon, they would donate $100, and I'm still a million years away from slaying the Ender Dragon. That's how that's going. Oh my god, I know I'm super into it now. I'm hooked. Yeah. I'm not like all three of their stories are just so interesting, and the way they interconnect with each other. I liked the writers for what it was. I'm not gonna lie though, GTA loves its stereotyping. GTA loves that type of writing. But I liked Franklin's story regardless. Franklin's friend too, that one soundbite. Nigga. It plays in my head over and over and over again. Over and over. That one scene, you know what scene I'm talking about without even saying it. I love that scene. Anyways, once we get enough wood, we can go back down because we're gonna need to make some coal. I died twice, by the way. I died while I had my armor, and it's I lost like 60 things of iron, fam. Like we back down. We back down. It was low-key depressing. I was like, I'm not even gonna do this run till the next day. Just swipe 3 houses of the American flags. Yeah. 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 Shout out to Isabel. Oh my god. Just swipe 3 houses of the American flags. That's wild. Just don't say it on the live. Ops watching. Hope the ops not watching. Minecraft, alright. We also got we've been playing this Roblox horror game, and I'm not much into horror games, I'm not gonna lie. So I just been yelling every time I see a ghost. Minecraft is a bit more chill than that Roblox horror game. I'm gonna bounce back and forth because yeah, I'm gonna need some breaks from I don't know, horror is not my people that can play horror for like 24/7 hours straight. I need your brain because Catholic trauma did something to me, I guess. Okay. Look at that. We up. We getting some charcoal going. Wait, I need some hatchets would be optimal, honestly. Have y'all ever read the book Hatchet? We had to read that in our grade school, and holy hell. That man should not have survived the wilderness. Am I on fire? I was like, I'm getting PTSD. I done died from the lava 4 different times. Okay, here we go. Pickaxe. Build us a sword. Come on. There's gotta be, there it is. There's gotta be stone swords. We're getting our get backs to this one. Yes, oh my god, I had to read it in 2nd grade. I'm telling you, when he's getting chased down by that moose, I don't know how he survived. Have y'all seen how big moose are in real life? I don't know how he survived. There's no way. Because when we were driving up to Banff, like where we usually camp, like we saw one on the road. It took up like two of the lanes. No way he survived that moose running at him. No way he survived that moose. I remember Fahrenheit 451 and some book about racist capitalist animals. Racist capital. Oh my god. Animal Farm? Yeah, y'all talking about Animal Farm? That one was more about class consciousness and solidarity among it. I remember I read that. I didn't read that in grade school, but I read that earlier in my years. Like I read that literally like a year-ish ago. And I saw the movie too. It was aight. Fantastic Fox did it better. What was that movie called? The Quentin Tarantino movie. That was also about class solidarity, but it was with animals. I feel like that did it better than Animal Farm. That's my hot take. That's my hot take. Animal Farm was okay though. I guess I wasn't alive for its social context, so I can't really say. Someone said I love Mr. Fantastic Fox, that's what it was called. That one was a really good one about class solidarity and what people do in drastic states. And I don't want to spoil it much, but it's a little stop animation one and it's cute. It's cutely animated. Very cutely animated. I'm feeling lonely. Oh, I wish I had somebody that could hold me. Now I'm crying in my room, so scared to go up. And Atticus Finch, I don't remember the book name. I do not either. I have no idea how I wasn't already following you, but hey, hope you're having a good stream. Thank you, Thank you, Endless Cemetery. Someone remind me to raid Endless Cemetery after this, because we ended up raiding Cinemarxism, but like Endless Cemetery I've been streaming for a while. I know that for sure. And I've been following them on Twitter since I like had my first Twitter account. I remember, like they're a real good streamer. We gotta remember to raid them. I'm actually not live right now, but I appreciate you. Oh. Okay, when you are, I have to keep you on my favorites or something. Can you do that? Favorites for raids? That has to be a thing, right? Twitch has to have that function. That's a bet. Okay, bet. TKM that one. Oh my god. It's getting dark. Yeah, I don't like the dark. We done died way too many times. I run in the jail too many years that I won't get back. I done said too many tears for niggas that I never get back. Cause I got niggas in the graveyard, I swear not a day goes by where I don't think about the time. I wish that we could rewind. Oh my god. Shout out P&B Rock. Taking a little too early. I'm finna sleep here. Okay, we about to go back down to the cave. Or honestly, I'm feeling a switch right now. I kind of want to play the Roblox horror game for a little bit. We're waiting for the first interviewee, who is actually roommate of the channel, Aeron, to come in. There's gonna be some other people too. Checking the Discord right now. Yup, there's gonna be some other people too. We're crafting minds today, and we're playing horror games today, and we're interviewing people today. It's gonna be a fun day, much like the other couple days. It's actually been fun hopping on and chilling with y'all. I think everybody who sticks around. I swear to God, Old Grease, you're back. Old Grease has been here since like the first day. We have like 48 hours with each other. It's wild. Nice to see everyone new in the chat too. Vampire and man, let's go. Yeah, I'm trying to Deep Woken. What is this? Oh no, you gotta play Roblox to play it. Robux. I ain't doing that. Where is the... How do you look at the past games that you played? Forgive me, by the way. I'm literally just a bacon-head little dude. And someone said, did I miss Little Bill? Little Bill may be on again later. Streaming is really dope when you get cool people in your circle. Yeah. I gotta stream more because I haven't really been streaming like that. But I've been more so streaming like commentary content. It's just this 7th Gen Initiative fundraiser I kind of wanted to do for the city, you know what I'm saying? It's a lovely day to raise money for 7th Gen Rising. Yes, Sage Mistress. And it's nice to see you back too. Do you remember that horror game we played? I just remember running out of it. I remember running out of it. Oh my god. I'm just gonna search up horror and see if anything similar pops up. Horror. Horror. Horror mansion, horror school, horror. There's genres in Roblox, hey. Top horrors. Silent mansion, obscure. Why the switch? Why is it going so slow? Okay, here it is. Which one are we playing? Sage Miss just said, I think it had demon in the title. Okay. Let me search up demon. Big love, fam. Love seeing you do your thing. Thank you, man, myth. Thank you for popping in and saying hello. We getting up there. We almost had to spin the wheel again. Oh, I think it was demonology. We almost had to spin the wheel again, though, and I'm not excited. I already had to do 200 push-ups, but I'm going to space that out and do that later. And I hope everyone forgets that I had to do 200 push-ups. Oh my god. Yeah, it was demonology. There's Demon Slayer, Demon Fall. Oh my god. I've been seeing clips of people on like Demon Slayer Roblox and how good they are and how there's a whole ranking system. Back in my day, for the Dragon Ball Z game on Roblox, I was in that ranking system. Like I was one of those like 5-year-old, I'm sorry, like 15-year-old kids just like learning how to click the right buttons in order to do the maximum damage on my combos. Oh my god, I miss it. Oh my god, we had a whole Roblox group and everything, like a whole Roblox war group called the United Assassins Clan. It was we were so unserious. I'm not going to join people's teams. I'm going to do this on my solo. You know how we do. We bounty hunting demons on our solo. We gonna die on our solo. We definitely gonna die. Let's go to Lincoln Street. We're almost level 5 though. We can almost play the medium difficulty places. Okay. So the point of the game is we have to use these tools in order to find out what type of ghosts we're dealing with. I'm having a feeling we're gonna need the flower pot. The video camera is cool because you can see in the dark. So if we see a ghost, I'm running off screen. That's all I'm saying. We're looking for a ghost orb right now. Do these lights work? Oh, the lights work. Okay, cool. Something is telling me in this room. No? Not in this room? What is going on? Oh my god, they got a whole anime girl here. Oh shit. This room hella aesthetic though. Let's get this aid. Yeah. Alright. Okay, this guy El Tigre, Loco, and rock music. Okay. Wait. Yo. Give me a second.
I'm coming.
Huh? If you can hop in the Discord room.
I have to do a bunch of setup to do that. That'll take me 20 minutes.
Okay. Oh, because I was just going to link the Discord so you could talk on stream, like with the overlay.
I know. I'm just saying that would require me to actually get a bunch of shit set up so I can see the chat, so I have my camera, so like...
Okay. Yeah.
Is it okay if I just do them host? Or?
Yeah, that makes sense. Give me right there.
I tried to set myself up.
Yeah. All good. Yeah, all good. Wow. Okay. Sorry. That was Aeron. They're about to hop on and host. Give me a second. So getting it set up for them. I need to get this set up for them. Thank you everyone for chilling with us though. Thanks for chilling. I'm going to be live with Aeron for a couple minutes before I dip. Let's get this all set up. We need everything looking good. I'm not gonna lie, my room is a little bit of a mess of cords because this whole 7 days I've literally just been pedal to the metal. Okay. Turning on the camera. I never represent. I never represent, baby. I can clean up good for you. Okay. Okay, chat. Let's get this aid. Let's top of the morning. Top of the morning. Okay. Looks good, chat. Good looks, chat. That's a wild comment. But I can't say it's not valid. But that is a wild comment. But I can't say it's not valid. I will say it's a wild comment, but it's not. I can't say it's not valid. What's good, Square Symbols? How you doing? Unfortunately, I'm gonna be hopping off for a little bit, having Aeron hosting for a bit. I'm gonna be back in a couple. There's gonna be some people hopping on for interviews and stuff. It's gonna be fun. I can't. High key can't wait. High key can't wait. Ooh. Okay. No, it's all good. It's my fault, honestly. I should have been a bit more prepared. So people just hop into the Discord here.
You have headphones or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm handing it off.
Where's the headphones?
Oh,
Also, hi chat.
Oh, there's no headphone.
Oh, how do I hear people then?
Oh, you'll just hear them through the speaker.
Oh, is that not getting picked up on the mic or?
No.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Kill it. Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be back in an hour.
Yeah, no worries. How is everybody doing? I'm sorry that I'm a little disheveled and sleepy. But I should share that I'm on this right now. For those who don't know who I am Aeron. I make a bunch of art, and mostly video essays. I also write and edit for Jesse Gender and a bunch of other people. I animate things. Killian, come say hi to Jack. You good boy. And sorry, what else? Yeah, I'm Turb's sister, right? We live together. But how are you all doing? What's new? What's the format of this stream? I've been so busy the last couple days. So I don't know all the details or exactly what I should be doing right now. Part of why I'm so sleepy is last night I got to go to Smash Mouth for $20, which is great because when you're poor, you don't really go to concerts. But every year there's this thing called Exhibition here in Saskatoon, and they usually pay for some like big band to play, and you just have to pay like the entrance fee to the X to get into the concert. So my girlfriend and I went to that last night, which was fun. Yeah, Smash Mouth was great. They were really fun in concert. Well, the funny thing too is like obviously everybody knows them from their like 5 meme songs thanks to Shrek. But I actually, like, my dad liked them back in the 90s. And so he'd play their stuff for me when I was a kid. So like the song I was most excited for, like everybody else like lost it at, you know, I'm a Believer and All Star. I did too, it was very fun. But honestly, the song I was excited for was Walking on the Sun. Like they could have come out, played Walking on the Sun and left and I would have been happy. But the whole concert was actually really entertaining. Now someone's going to tell me in the chat that like they have some horrible political thing I'm not aware of, because truly my awareness of this band is like music that was played for me when I was a kid. And that's it. Personally love listening to artists talk about their art. If you chill with that, I am more than happy to do that. Yeah. So I just released a video called The Artist Is Not. I should double check what the actual title is on YouTube, because you know you always switch around titles and things, just trying to make sure that you get the most views, because the stupid fucking system sucks and you have to play no, right? Like, Walking on the Sun is it's a killer song. It's even better in concert. I don't know. It's one of those things where you can tell this band has been, like, really loving touring and playing with each other for 30 years. And so they have, like, 30 years of knowing how to do a good stage show behind them. And, yeah. Also, yeah, Cardamon just said, share the link if you can't donate. Yes, absolutely. We are here for fundraising purposes. I am bad at words when I've just woken up. Yeah, so I'm just going to read what Trib left for me. We're raising money for 7th Gen Rising, which is a Indigenous youth-led Two-Spirit, trans, queer, and children of immigrants, Black and Indigenous liberation group, and settlers like myself committed to making reparations through direct action, community care, and harm reduction. It's not a charity, it's mutual aid. We are committed to reconciliation and reparations. We support sex workers, their safety and their livelihoods. We believe in Indigenous youth and taking care of our own people, those harmed by colonial violence, with the support of settler reparations. It's important that we recognize the people that help us community and not degrade them to a second class for the aspect of being unhoused. We call everyone their cousins, aunties, uncles, cookums. It's a communal third space based on feeding the community, then building from there in aspects of a friendly shared environment and resources. They also give away menstrual products, toothbrushes, tents, anything that people need for day-to-day necessities. So yeah, your money goes very directly, if you're supporting, very directly to feeding people, to giving them necessities they wouldn't otherwise have access to, and to giving them dignity. I am personally of the opinion that any society that has a homeless person has fucking failed. I think it, like, truly as a society, they have failed that person, and they have failed to build a reasonable society. We should be taking care of each other, and no one should have to go through the indignity of being unhoused. So yeah. Oh yeah, no, like from what I know, at least, like, again, I'm not aware of their newer stuff, but Smash Mouth is a fairly political band. They started as a ska punk band, and if you know the histories of ska and punk and understand the political aspect of that music, yeah. No, I think, like, it's so important. Yes, 7th Gen Rising is based in Saskatchewan, here in Saskatoon. Yeah, but anyway, I was talking about someone had asked me about my art. So I talk a lot about art from queer and disabled perspective, and trying to educate people on media literacy. I think that many problems that we are experiencing in this moment partially come out of a movement of anti-intellectualism and of people not having the tools to comprehend the media that they are engaging with, or the messaging that they're receiving. So my most recent video is called The Author's Not Dead. It is a tear into why I think, well, like, basically separate the art from the artist, and the author, the death of the author, have become these sort of thought-terminating cliche sentences that people use to avoid thinking about things they don't want to think about within art. Mostly marginalized perspectives on that art. And so I talk about it from a couple of different angles. I get into what I think Barth got right and wrong in his original piece, as well as what people don't understand about Barth, because a lot of people just have not read Barth. and also why I think it would be absurd, even if Barth said these things, to argue that that you know, one French white dude in the 60s is the basis on which, like, all media engagement should be, is kind of absurd. Even if he said the things they believe, it still wouldn't be a good argument. You know, it's a call to authority when they clearly haven't even read the authority that they're calling to. So yeah, it's a complicated piece, but I'm really, really proud of how it came out. People are responding really well to it. I've honestly been really impressed with the comments. They haven't been what they expected them to be. I was worried they might be. They've actually been people, you know, adding to the conversation. I've only gotten called some really awful shit once by a TERF so far, so that's a win, because I talked about J.K. Rowling, and if you talk about her, people will come out of the woodwork. Because because unsurprisingly, people don't like, people who hate trans women don't really like when we talk about someone actively trying to genocide us. It's a wild thing. But yeah, I think a lot of people, right now are very, very dedicated to what I would call the drive towards comfort. A drive that underlies a lot of the problems we're dealing with right now, where people don't want their comfort ever disrupted, and so they will go along with worsening social systems, worsening social situations, worsening things, as long as it doesn't mean they have to do any work or think about what they're saying or think about what they're taking in. And I think it's important that we do the hard work of actually, engaging with and thinking about the things that we say and do, instead of just sitting in that comfort space. I think discomfort is easily one of the best teachers. It is extremely valuable. I think there's sort of two lessons that discomfort will teach you. And it's important to, when you experience discomfort, instead of being reactive, the way that the people that I'm talking about in the video are, right? Where they encounter something that's uncomfortable to them. It's usually marginalized perspectives, either marginalized people pointing out the issues with the work that they love, or marginalized people talking about our own art and why it's marginalized art. I talk a lot about The Matrix there, because a few years back I made a video about why The Matrix is trans, and the comments I got on that video suck, unsurprisingly. I think, a lot of people are just kind of driven towards staying in comfort, and I think discomfort is a really good teacher, and I think if you never learn the skills to actually discern what your discomfort means, you never actually develop the skills to meaningfully act on it. If you're discomforted by something, I think there's usually generally two outcomes, which is, one, there is something wrong with your worldview or your conception of things that needs to change. So if something's making you uncomfortable, and you look at it and you take the time to really understand where that discomfort is coming from, sometimes it comes from that cognitive dissonance. It comes from the cognitive dissonance of realizing that the ideals that you think you have are in conflict with a belief that you currently hold, or that someone has said something that is making you aware that you're wrong about something, and the human being doesn't like to acknowledge that we're wrong about things, but we are wrong about things all the time. The other side of discomfort, and when you really engage with it and you understand what it means, is that, sometimes you're completely right to feel discomforted. But by taking the time to really understand it, instead of reacting, you can more carefully articulate what you actually, are uncomforted by. And so you can act on that more reasonably. Exactly. Aeron chat said, and I hope I'm not butchering your name, I'm really sorry if I am, I heard someone say the more discomfort you feel when questioning something, the more you should look into it. Exactly. And sometimes you're right. Sometimes you're right to feel discomforted. I've definitely had many times as a woman, as a trans person, where things have been uncomfortable, and I've taken the time to examine it and gone, oh, that's just sexism. I'm experiencing sexism, or I'm experiencing transphobia. This person is doing microaggressions, those types of things. Sometimes you're completely right to feel discomfort. There is times for that. Or someone is being sexually creepy, but not in an obvious way, things like that. So it's important to understand why you're feeling uncomfortable. And then sometimes you examine it and you go, oh, wow, I learned a really shitty view when I was a kid, and I never unpacked it. And now I got to unpack it. And I think that's a process that everyone has to go through. I think, and I've been seeing discourses lately that are so stupid. That's a bad word. See, that perfect example of me needing to examine a thing that I said that's wrong and catching myself. That was not the way to word it. But a lot of obnoxious, let's say, discourses that I think come down to just a lot of people never wanting to examine their own beliefs, never wanting to examine what they're saying or doing, and just being like, no, I got this. I'm completely right. And anyone trying to point out the issues with how I'm behaving is mean. because they're making me uncomfortable. Yeah, because you gotta question why you feel things, not to discredit your feelings, but so that you understand your feelings. I think a lot of people haven't had to practice or don't try to practice, for lack of a better word, let's say mindfulness, but awareness of what they're thinking and believing. And when you don't have an awareness of what you think and believe, and if you don't have a comprehension of what you think and believe, that leaves you in a really vulnerable position to be manipulated. Yeah, good point, Goofy, and I really appreciate you sharing that. They said, sometimes I'll feel uncomfortable around people who are doing nothing wrong, and lately I've been constantly questioning myself. Why am I feeling this way? How can I do better? That's a good way to put it. And also, like, sometimes people don't have to do anything wrong, and you can just, like, you don't have to like everybody. I think a lot of people want some, like, grand reason. When they just, like, don't vibe with somebody, they try to find some reason for why that person's, like, bad. You know, and sometimes someone's just like not a vibe you like having around, and that's fine. I think it's fine to not gel with every person you meet ever. What becomes a problem is a lot of people, I think, once they've hit that step of like, I don't really connect with this, so they must be evil, and then they try to find some reason. I think you see this a lot online when, like, you know, valid or for valid or invalid reasons, regardless, you know, someone will decide some marginalized creator sucks, you know, and then a bunch of other people will be like, oh yeah, I knew there had to be something wrong with them all along. And it's like, no, you didn't. You just didn't like them, probably because they're marginalized, and now you're just fighting an ad hoc reason for why. You know, and again, my issue with that sentiment has nothing to do with whether or not the person's actually done shitty things, because sometimes they haven't and sometimes they have. But I just noticed this, like, pattern of people, like, vindicating themselves for pre-hating someone that they don't know anything wrong about. Oh, that's a good point. Spaghetti said, I saw a post that was about examining even the most obvious beliefs, like asking yourself why murder is bad, because if you're not able to engage with every part of your belief system, then you're not going to be able to notice bad bias. No, that's perfect. Like, again, it's that thing of, like, doing the work to be self-aware of what you're thinking. Yeah. When capitalism and fascism are fundamentally intertwined, I think fascism comes out of the material reality of capitalism. I think that neoliberal capitalism is the birthplace for fascism. I've talked about this a lot before in a video Jesse and I did on the monomyth of Star Wars. It's really more about Joseph Campbell and structures of story, but, like, you can't really extricate Star Wars from that, because Star Wars is the reason why the studio model adopted one way of telling stories, one way that is fundamentally intertwined with white supremacy and Christian belief. And when you build, I'm trying to say, sorry, I'm so sleepy today. Killian. Sorry, my cat's up here. He's so cute. What was I saying? But you can't extricate fascism from capitalism, because fascism comes out of capitalism. Fascism is what I would call a malignant response to the failures of capitalism. Capitalism is a fundamentally flawed system, a fundamentally harmful system that puts people in vulnerable positions. And people in vulnerable positions are more likely to be and easier to apply pressure to in certain ways. And fascism relies on taking people's genuine grievances, real grievances, and giving them the wrong targets of ire, right? Fascism says, hey, you're poor, you don't have the things that you need, your needs are not being met, we're going to blame this marginalized group. We're going to blame this other. And once we get rid of the other, we'll solve the problems. But of course you can't. That doesn't actually solve the problems. So fascism is also a movement that must fundamentally collapse in on itself. I would highly recommend watching Ian Danskin's entire series, Innuendo Studios on YouTube. And his entire series, The Alt-Right Playbook, it goes into a lot of how and why the far right works the way it does. But I would say that fascism responds to the failures of capitalism by giving people a scapegoat that doesn't actually address the fundamental issues with capitalism and actually isn't in opposition to capitalism. It instead centralizes capital power within a small amount of space. Yeah. Hey Adnan, hope you're doing well. So yeah, I think it is important to talk about the connections between capitalism and fascism, because I don't think that a nascent fascist movement would be able to form in any sort of real capacity if people's, basic needs were met. I think that capitalism fundamentally creates the situation from which fascism can grow. Do I think that getting rid of capitalism would get rid of hate and things? No. But I do think that, fascism very specifically is intertwined with capitalism. And that's why I think when we talk about fascism, it's always important to engage with it and there are several well-written ones, but from a leftist definition of fascism. A lot of people get their definition of fascism from very odd places, I love Umberto Eco's work on fascism. I think that he does a great job of talking about the semiotics of fascism. But as pointed out by Veselikov in this one video that I referenced in the Star Wars video, it is a semiotics text. It's about the signs of fascism. And note that signs doesn't mean the fascism is incoming or something. It means the symbols from which meaning is derived for fascism. And yeah, I think if you don't, coming back to the whole point that we were talking about, if you don't have an awareness of why you have the beliefs that you have, you can get to very harmful conclusions from very reasonable places. And even worse, if you're really unaware, you can let someone else make the reasons for you. Yeah. I'm going to just check that I didn't miss a message in chat really quick. No, I didn't. I think there's a lot of these systems of power, they're sort of, they embed themselves in each other. And I also think it's why, a lot of movements that don't want to, and even leftist spaces, unfortunately, that don't want to engage with tackling white supremacy or patriarchy. They want to address capitalism, but they don't want to address all of the systems tied to capitalism, because for many of them, they benefit from it. I'm sure we've all had that experience of a very, very, very privileged person who is I'm gonna get rid of capitalism, but still be a racist, sexist pig. And you're that doesn't make any sense, because they don't actually have an understanding they don't have a meaningful understanding of their beliefs or the systems that they're combating. And so they come to wildly horrible, violent conclusions because they think that you can extricate one of the power systems from the others and just remove that while still maintaining their position within a hierarchy. I think a lot of people are dedicated to maintaining a specific position within their hierarchy. Also, I want to remind Chad that you can donate to help support 7th Gen Rising and directly help people's lives and feed them. And here is Killian. Killian says donate. Me. Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people in this chat have rightly experienced these types of things where people don't have that intersectionality that's necessary to engage with stuff. And I'm really sorry that you experienced that at your I've definitely experienced, like one of the hard things if you're marginalized in multiple ways and is that you're like, oh, this is a space for people like me. And then you're like, oh, it's a space for people who have this identity, but, they're not cool about disability. They're not cool about mental health. They're not cool about various issues. Like the amount of fucking racists in leftist spaces is concerning. Thank you, Adnan, for pinning the donation. Yeah. 7-Eleven. And that's a good point as well, Goofy. Oh, I seem to have messed up the Discord thing. Sorry. I don't know, it's Turb's OBS setup. I think, yeah, no, I think systems of... I think what's funny about, like, any oppressive system is that it oppresses everyone in it in some way. Not to the same degrees or to the same extent, but it's, like... It's sort of fascinating watching, like, people combat trans issues and not have the awareness of, like, how that will end up harming them as well. Like, they'll... A lot of abortion right removal was built on the precedent set by removing, trans rights, because once you attack bodily autonomy, once you lose bodily autonomy, once the state can decide what it does with your organs and body, you've got some problems as a society. I'm not going to say anything that would get Turb potentially banned, Undead. What I will say is that America doesn't actually care about the people that live in it, and that the equivalent of the amount of people that died on 9/11 died every single day for COVID, from COVID for months. We are still in a pandemic that people don't want to deal with. Honestly, the pandemic stuff makes me feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. And I have a mental illness, so I actually know what that feels like. But, like, I worked... The first 4 months of the pandemic, I worked on pandemic spread simulation research. I'm actually published second name on a paper for it. And the way that society prioritized feeling normal over lives, immune systems, mass disabling, and any sort of care for other people drives me up every wall. We are still, the pandemic is still raging. There's new variants that are worse and have worse effects on your immune system. I mean, the damage that COVID can do to your immune system is comparable to, though it doesn't go as far, but it has a similar effect to things like HIV. It can permanently damage the immune system. For a very simple reason, Spaghetti, the reason they don't see attacks on trans people as attacks on people's freedom is because they don't see us as people. Like, honest to God, that's the reason. Every time you see these things, you're like, well, why don't they realize that this is an attack on the freedoms of people? They don't think that it could apply to them because they don't see themselves as in the same category of existence as us. They don't see us as people. I think that's so important to understand about the fascist mentality about things. There's a reason why there's a billion clips of Trump going, they're animals. I don't have to say that they're not animals. The left keeps telling me It's wrong to call them animals. Like, he keeps saying shit like that because the reason he's saying that is because he needs to convince his base that these people who are human beings, who deserve dignity and rights and protection, whether it's trans people, whether it's immigrants, he needs to convince them to see them not as people. Not that that's that hard to convince them, because America is geared towards training people to shut off empathy and not see us as human beings. Once you see a group as not human beings, you cannot recognize how attacking them might eventually result in harming you. There's that fucking annoying poem that people always bring up, which was written by a fascist. It was written by a Nazi, who eventually got turned on by the Nazi party, because fascists eat themselves. It is a death cult, a self-destructive death cult. But the whole poem of, like, first they came for, that whole thing was written by a Nazi. That's not a mistake. That shows their mentality. It shows how they think, right? They don't think that it can affect groups in multiple ways, or that the precedents can be turned on other people, because they don't see them as people. And so when you have this fundamental empathy gap or divide, where this group truly does not see this other group as people, they don't care how they harm them, because there's a reason why they call us animals, right? Like, there's a reason why they denigrate people that way specifically. Like, I hate to say it, but, like, I think a lot of the... Thank you, Piketty, for also being sick of that goddamn poem. I think a lot of us have encountered this, have seen how it affects people. We're seeing it all the time. And I think, whether you look at Palestine or the Congo or Sudan or every historical genocide in history, or what's happening to trans people right now, the active attempt to genocide my community, all of them have this fundamental tie of creating another, building them as a non-human being, and then being able to treat them however you want, because to them, right, human rights only belong to humans. And if you don't... I that poem gets thrown around a lot, and I don't think that there's no value in talking about that poem, but I just think it should always be framed as what it actually is. That poem is a perfect encapsulation of the ways in which fascist people fundamentally don't believe that the things that they will do to others could be done to them, because they've dehumanized the other. They've created the other and pushed them out. It's a really famous poem, Jenny. It basically goes, first it came from the communists, and I didn't care because I'm not a communist. Then they came for the... Like, they list off a bunch of groups, and then it ends on, and finally they came for me, right? And the me in that case is a Nazi that fell out of favor with the party. Because, but I do think that there's value in critiquing the poem and how it gets used. But I don't think the poem in and of itself is valuable. Because it truly has some questionable elements to it. As with a lot of things, I think... I mean, speaking of, like, people not digging into stuff and people not getting the context and things, honestly, I think that poem might be one of the most death of the authored pieces of art that you could legitimately talk about in that way. in that, like, the author and his intent is so disappeared from the way that people are aware of that poem or how they use it. Which I think is really fascinating. And I remind everyone that we're here for 7th Gen Rising, a group that does direct mutual aid here in Saskatchewan, here in Saskatoon. They feed people, they help people with housing, they help them with camp stuff, they help them with necessities like menstrual products, things like that. So, yeah. Thank you all for being here and for conversing with me. And I'm glad that it's been educational, because that's always what I want to do is pass on knowledge and then build knowledge myself, because there are plenty of things I don't know. The amount of things I don't know is vast. Also, I just know that Turb is a soundboard, and I'm so curious what the sounds are. Sorry. Can you tell I have ADHD and get distracted really fast? All right, topic to talk about. Oh yeah. Oh my god, I saw this thing yesterday. So, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but there's a film called I Saw the TV Glow. I did a big video about it last year after it came out. It's a brilliant piece. It's written and directed by a trans person. One of the stars is trans, and it's Jane Schoenbrun's the director. They are amazing, and I love that film. It's a brilliant piece. It's so powerful. Christians are co-opting it right now on TikTok. They're using it. They are using it to argue. Like they're using it to represent their coming to Jesus stuff. Which, of all the films to co-opt, I think is the one that makes me the angriest, other than maybe the way that fascists have co-opted The Matrix. But I think it gets into an interesting thing of how marginalized art gets treated within mainstream functions. Right, when that film first came out, Christians hated it because it was satanic. But when rejection didn't function, they move on to their next step, which is co-option, which is trying to take a story that is so fundamentally not for them and make it about them. And that's a good point. They can never come up with anything original. Pretty much never. Like, the colonial ones definitely can't. I think that there are definitely Christians out there that can, but they generally aren't behaving like that, let's say. But yeah, it really bothered me, but because to me, I Saw the TV Glow so perfectly captures how society generally, but for me personally, with my experiences, how, Christianity creates shame, self-hatred, and misery in trans people, and how that kills trans people. That's the whole point of the film, is that repression pushed by a white supremacist patriarchal society, by Christian groups, by people of power, how that kills people, and to have that used by Christians to be like, I got my TV glow by becoming God-bearing. Like, truly, it makes me mad. And I want to be clear, like, I don't think religion is inherently bad in any way. I think that religion can be extremely valuable. I have particular issue with Christianity and Christians. And I try very, very hard to hold a nuanced view, and not just let the ways in which that system has traumatized and harmed me guide how I act towards it. But God, some days I wish I could just tear every fucking church and cathedral down brick by brick. Anand said, when Owen is talking during the montage while growing up, there's the line, something like, I even started a family. Is that more literal, or am I missing something? It's about the ways in which cis-heteronormativity controls queer people. It is literal. But it is also metaphorical, right? It's not about, like, you notice that his family's never shown. They're not characters. They are an element of the system controlling him, right? They are the idea of the, don't do that, Gillian. They are the idea of the nuclear family. They are not literally the nuclear family, because nothing in the Midnight Realm is truly real, but they are the idea or the Platonic concept of the nuclear family. And that is why they are purely mentioned but never seen, right? Because they're a symbol. And, like, oh yeah, I'll get into that in a minute, but fascist aestheticism is fundamentally intertwined with the AI movement, absolutely. So, like, especially at a time where Christo-fascism is taking over the world and is the fundamental driver of trans genocide in the UK, in the US, and in other countries around the world. God, it boils my fucking blood that they would take that film of all films and try to co-opt it in this way. And I've done a piece a really long time ago called Midnight Mass, Christianity and Trauma, that I'm really proud of. It's a piece about Mike Flanagan's TV show, Midnight Mass, and I talk a lot about my own complicated feelings towards a religion that traumatized me. Yeah. Oh god, yeah, Adnan said democratizing art. Yeah, like that term is so fucking insidious. Okay, so for some context, I went to university for computer science. I have a computer science degree. I specialized in machine learning and AI. Not the generative slop bullshit. That was something that my teachers drilled into us was completely unethical and should never be made. But here we are. It's destroying the entire planet. And I had this one conversation with my professors. It's before the pandemic, so it's got to be about 2020, 2019 maybe. We had this conversation where we basically were like, at some point, some private sector motherfucker is going to steal a lot of the work that has been done and use it to make some horrible, like, generative slot machine, and it's going to increase plagiarism, it is going to damage people's relationships with facts, it's going to destroy their ability to perceive reality, it is going to... Like, we basically laid out a lot of what has happened since ChatGPT and these other ones gained prominence. And there's something so genuinely crushing and frustrating and exhausting about being Cassandra. If you don't know what Cassandra is, she's a figure from Greek myth who can see the future, but no one ever fucking listens to her predictions. So yeah, I fucking despise Gen AI. I despise Gen AI. It is completely unethical misuse of my field. It is not AI. It is an algorithm, a poorly designed algorithm, an extremely expensive algorithm that damages our planet at a staggering rate to pretty much every other piece of tech that we have. Machine learning in and of itself, the fundamentals from which that technology is built on, is not inherently evil. I've done good research with it, right? For in my case, it was pandemic spread simulation, right? There is value, and I think people have become... because there's so many different pieces of tech that are completely different, that they have nothing to do with each other. Like they come from the same field of research, but they're not the same thing. So detecting cancer cells is something that machine learning is really good at, and it is going to drastically increase our consistency of catching cancer early. It's a super valuable piece of technology. And some people are like, oh, well, that's basically AI, right? So it's evil and bad. And it's like, no, they're not the same thing. The generative plagiarism machine slop that ChatGPT, Midjourney, all these things do, is a different usage. The energy costs are on a magnitude's worse, right? They're not specific algorithms. They're generalized algorithms that rely on the mass theft of other people's stuff, right? The way that a learning algorithm functions is basically you pass in a bunch of data, you iterate on that data, understand it, and then you are able to categorize and do things with it on the other end. I'm vastly oversimplifying because I can't give you multiple years of university in a second, but so they're completely reliant on the training sets that they're trained on. It's one thing to train it on, say, a bunch of images of cancer cells so that it can very effectively and very quickly process those types of images and output potential cancer cells, which you still need to verify with a doctor. The doctor still needs to verify those things, but it's a valuable use of image processing machine learning, right? But note that it's not really generating anything. It's not doing this other process on top of that. So Gen AI, on the other hand, what's cognitive dissonance? Also, it's spelled dissonance, but Gen AI, on the other hand, is a plagiarism machine that cannot produce anything new, and fundamentally must be trained on stuff that already exists. Now, the reason why Gen AI is fundamentally inseparable from fascist movements is that it is fascist aestheticism at its worst, right? All aesthetics, no human intent, no meaning behind it, just regurgitated pieces of art that already exist. And it's honestly, this week has been good because we're finally seeing that the mass pressure from people to reject Gen AI stuff is working. Disney's investors basically strong-armed Disney into not using generative slop stuff on several projects because of the public backlash. To be clear, these people are not good. What I'm saying is pressure on public figures does work. If we mass pressure people, if we make it abundantly clear that we despise this completely unethical Jenny, that's really funny. This completely unethical misuse of the field, then we can stop this thing. Like a lot of the proponents for it are constantly like, oh, it's inevitable. You just have to accept it and learn to use it. And they're wrong. We don't have to accept it. And that goes for any of these systems that are harmful or unhelpful or we don't need. We don't have to keep them. We don't have to have them. And if enough people put pressure, it can stop them. And I truly, like, the way that, well, the thing is, none of it's AI. None of it's AI. It's all algorithms. They're all algorithms. I feel like the marketing team that decided to start labeling it AI has done such a great disservice to basic human comprehension, and because it means that a bunch of people have these asinine conversations about the topic where they're like, oh, but like the singularity and it's going to be conscious. It's not. You can't. I am genuinely of the belief that you could not reasonably create a thinking thing from how machine learning works. It is pure statistics. It is pure statistics. Would be about questioning the benefits of change. Yeah, that's an interesting take. Like it's that does sound interesting. I might check that out. Poetic justice. Okay. Like you can't. I personally, I'm not a big fan of copyright. I think that copyright is a very flawed system. I think that there is a version of copyright that could be valuable if we're still stuck under capitalism, under the context of like protecting individual art from being exploited by corporations. That is not what copyright is now. My fundamental issues with Gen AI stuff is not that it breaks copyright, it's that it's plagiarism. And I think that plagiarism is completely fucking abhorrible. I abhor plagiarism. I think it is a vile thing to do. If you don't actually do the work and you steal other people's work and present it as its own, scum of the earth behavior. Like, I was one of the many women that was directly affected by James Somerton harassing us. Little bit less directly than others, but like it really affected my co-writer Jesse and other friends of mine. And like, I think that plagiarism shows a fundamental deep level of disrespect for the process, for the art, and for the people who make it. Yeah, no, and that's a perfect point, Kenyon Sola. The singularity AI will become sentient thing really irritates me. It's obvious propaganda distraction from AI's existing issues. Oh, it's not just that. It's a religious cult. the wildest thing about like the Peter Thiel, Sam Altman stuff, and trust me, like go look into this. I'm not kidding. These people have a religious belief that they need to bring about the rapture. I mean, the singularity, not the rapture. It's not the it's not rapture evangelicalism, except that it fits perfectly with that, and that's why they're easy allies within the conservative spaces that they exist within. Their whole goal, right, is to bring about the singularity to end humanity. When asked, does he think that human beings should continue existing? I believe it was Sam Altman. I might be wrong. It might be another one. He could not answer. I can't remember if it was Thiel or Altman. It was one of the two. But like, these people are unserious jackasses hyped on their own supply, all running a bunch of code that is a yes man that tells them that they're smart and right. Like the amount of these CEO types that are like, I'm seeing the start of AGI because I was talking with mine and it told me what I wanted to hear. And it's like, yeah, you programmed an algorithm to regurgitate what you want to hear. That doesn't... thank you, Hits. Yeah, it was Peter Thiel. Thank you. I couldn't remember which one it was, and I knew it was one of the two. Oh, yeah, no, it fucking sucks. It really is damaging to artists. It's really damaging on all levels. And I'm sick of this, like, I don't know, this dismissiveness towards art, both as process, as labor, and as something of value. I think anyone that is caping for Gen AI is fundamentally opposed to good... what's the word I'm looking for? It's opposed to labor, really. One of the biggest things that unions have been fighting for within creative industries and outside of creative industries as well is against this generative slop stuff. And I think anyone that's like defending it is honestly anti-worker, fundamentally. Also, as a disabled artist, if I have to hear one more asshole say that disabled people, well, it's the only way that we could ever make art. And I'm like, disabled people have been making beautiful art for genuinely centuries. You know, like, if you just looked into how to do it with the specific, like, truly, people who all they can do is move their mouth still make beautiful, beautiful art. You know, like, I don't think that that claim is at all valid. It's like there are people who can only use their eyes, you know, like literally physically the only thing that they can control is their eyes, and they still make art. Like I really can't stand this idea that disabled people a reasonable defense of Gen AI is disabled people can't make art, because one, it wouldn't be disabled people making art anyway. It is the theft of other people's art that is then regurgitated. It is not making anything. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a terrible argument, and it's exceptionally ableist. It is exceptionally ableist to argue that disabled people can't make art without theft and plagiarism. I can't stand it. Also, yeah, Fridges. Yeah, no, that is very much like Thiel's mentality is deeply disturbing, but I would question your use of mentally ill there. I'm mentally ill, and you're agreeing with what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, being mentally ill has nothing to do with the validity of your arguments or the quality of what you believe. The vast majority of people that will follow fascism are actually sane, mentally well people. Fun fact. In a society. You can't, sanism does none of us good, you know? And not to pick on you as an individual, but it's more just, I'm tired because I just keep seeing it over and over and over and over and over again. Bad people with harmful views, that has nothing to do with being insane or mentally ill. Oh, yeah, Goofy just said, I hate when people say I wasn't born talented enough as a reason to make images with AI. It's sad because it shows that they don't believe that they can learn a skill and take it out. You know what else it is? It's insulting to artists. Like, People's belief that artists, good point, Jenny. I love that entire speech. Artists have to develop a talent. Talents are not innate. No one is born and then just boom has it. Yes, some people have, let's call it, aptitude towards learning at something. Someone might be better at learning something than other people and might have a higher skill ceiling due to certain things. I'll take an extreme example, but like Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps was the greatest swimmer in the world, partly because he had a bunch of genetic advantages, right? He had an extremely abnormal ability to process lactic acid, which meant that he could physically sprint longer than almost everybody on the planet. Like significantly longer periods of time. So he just won faster, right? He has a disorder that affects some of the joints and things. So his feet work like flippers in a way that most people's don't. But he still had to train. He still had to learn. Yes, he had some advantages, but it doesn't mean that someone else couldn't learn to swim well. And it's not a good understanding of what talent or skill is. I am not a good artist because I was born artistic. I am a good artist because from a very young age, my mom taught me and my cousins and our family friends, because she raised a lot of kids simultaneously when everyone else was working, taught us to do art. Taught us to do art in many different mediums. Good point, Kenny and Sola, as well. Like the mental health system is very, 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 very complicated and problematic and intertaken with like yeah. Like it's art takes a lot of years. When you hire an artist to do stuff, you're not just paying them for what they're doing in that moment, you're paying them for learning for 20 plus years or whatever it is. You know, I started learning to do art when I was 2-3 years old, and I have continuously been learning ever since. You know, I'm 2025. I'm so bad at my own age. I'm 27 now. You know, that's 25 years of practice. That's 25 years of working in different mediums. That's 25 years of developing a skill. Yeah, like Jenny said, my grandpa was a talented artist, but he took time to develop his craft. Like you can't just walk in and be good at art. No one is. Also, Goofy just said, there's a little quote from someone who was that artists were born with blue blood, and hello, most of us are literally poor. No, for real. Like, honestly, if I wasn't disabled in the ways that I am, I probably would be, you know, I'd still try to be making art, but I would probably be working a comp sci job right now, ideally in an art space, you know, ideally on video games and things. But I'd be working a traditional job, and I'd be much less struggling as I have been. Like I'm working my ass off right now to pay off things and save enough so I can get my bottom surgery. And the surgery is thankfully covered. I just have to raise money for like the 3 months of recovery where I can't do much. And I have a chronic illness, which is going to make the recovery period just so much tougher. But the thing is that, like, if I wasn't disabled in the way I am, I wouldn't be doing art full time, and I wouldn't be struggling in the way that I am. And there's a lot of disabled artists who, I think they'd be making art no matter what. But the reason why they are doing it full time is because they don't have a choice. And so saying artists are like privileged blue blood stuff is so absurd to me, because it tells me they also just don't understand history or the purpose of art. Now, yes, if you look at like Hollywood nepotism, sure, that's absolutely a fair assessment of Hollywood, of the most powerful artists out there. But even within Hollywood, that's only really applicable to directors and stars, because I have known so many amazing visual effects artists who've worked on projects for Marvel and things, and they get paid shitty, and they work terrible hours. Like, actually, if anything, artists are some of the most easy to exploit class of workers, because we love art. We love making art, and we want to make good art, which means that we'll probably take worse pay than we should, and we'll work longer hours than we should, and we'll get exploited in certain ways. And this is a consistent issue within art fields and within artwork, right? Like, I love video games. I want to make video games eventually. I went to university for a comp sci degree so that I could hopefully work in that field. Video games is one of the most exploited fields because there's no unionization, there's no protections for workers, and workers tend to be people really, really dedicated to wanting to make a good project, and so they'll crunch hours, and they'll get paid less than they should be. And then you throw in the fact that companies now just will fire them because they want to invest in AI. Like, I despise Microsoft as a corporation. Microsoft's fucking evil for many, many reasons. Look up the BDS boycott for why you shouldn't support them just on Palestine alone. But Microsoft recently destroyed a bunch of really amazing studios so that they could fund more money towards their AI nonsense. There's games that were like 95% complete. Perfect Dark was about to release. And they just scrapped the entire studio, scrapped the project because generative slop. Danae said, it's about treating the eye and learning about lighting, perspective, anatomy, and so on. The very premise of promoting AI art and Gen AI is treating learning as a skippable process. That's so and it's not the only process that you're skipping out on. Like, art is not just an end product. I think that's so important. A lot of people think of capitalism drives us towards thinking of art as a product that exists at the end. And it doesn't consider the process. The process is so fundamental to art. Art comes out of the random accidents that occur during the process. My girlfriend and I just recently finished playing Psychonauts 1 and 2. I hadn't played them ever before. He loves them and wanted to show me them. And so I played through both games, and then we watched Psych Odyssey. We're on like the second last episode. And Psych Odyssey is really fascinating because it digs into how the game got made. A very, very, very honest, at times uncomfortable documentary series that I would recommend to any artist, regardless of field, though I highly recommend playing Psychonauts 2. I think it's a brilliant game. I think it's one of the only pieces of art that handles mental health issues well, even good at times. And like, that game wouldn't be what it is without the collision of all of these different unique human beings and all of the weird, unique circumstances that occurred during its development that resulted in the final product. Yeah, you said, I wanted to work as an animator, but I already got a back hernia from doing storyboards, and it's just so discouraging. I feel like for most artists, we sacrifice so much of our health to keep up. We do. Artists love making art, and it makes us a very exploitable labor class. And I truly believe that human beings need art. I think it is a fundamental element of our being. Some of the earliest evidence we have of human civilization is art. And I don't mean civilization in the icky colonial mentality thing. I mean, truly, like, I think, like, cave art is so cool. I fucking love that we have ancient fertility statues and these evidences of people that came before us, not just in the tools that were used to physically, make life easier or get food or those sort of things, but that we find early humans through their art and through their care for other human beings. One of the earliest pieces of any human body that we've ever found is a body that was clearly severely disabled in some way from a very young age, right? In a way that in a hunter-gatherer society would make them incapable of doing any of the work that would normally be done in that society. And then they lived for 20-something years after that injury. And we know that they clearly had, like, stuff that was used to help them in a way that we would in a modern context. Because, to me, humanity is defined by our kindness, by our love, and by our empathy. I think empathy is what is what makes us what we are. And I don't mean empathy in terms of like an emotional experience. I think people with like NPD and stuff are just as human. I think empathy as an act, as a process. It's amazing to me that we still have art that ancient and that personable. And I don't know, I can't stand the idea of replacing that with plagiarizing what already exists. And coming back to like fascist aestheticism when it relates to Gen AI stuff, right, is that Gen AI can only create what already exists, right? It can only regurgitate. And so what it does is it creates stuff that references or maintains the dominant views. And that's before these companies go and mess with the data sets, right? But they also mess with the data sets. There's a reason why, Musk's Grok or whatever keeps saying horrifically white supremacist stuff. It's not because it is a thinking being that decided that that's a good viewpoint. It is because it is an algorithm that they have trained to behave a specific way. It's programmed. It's not thinking, it's programmed. And Ayer said art truly saves lives. No, it really does. I don't think I'd still be here without art. And Goofy said art like singing, dancing, drawing, painting, craftsmanship, all of that truly makes life worth living. It entertains us, it frees us, it helps us understand ourselves and others around us. Exactly. I think... Also, Ken and Sola said, that's why I hate British museum industry, because they hoover all up the stuff and then, not just hoard it, they lazily miscategorize it too, seen as so many things labeled as fertility statues that aren't. Oh my god, yeah. No, American British stuff is... The Americans, like museums and British museums that are just straight up like, we colonized the place, we stole other shit, we're never giving it back, is vile to me. Honestly, I would love to see more narratives of an Indiana Jones type, but instead of breaking into places to take their artifacts, they break into museums and take the artifacts back to the home countries. Frigid said art is literally the point of light. Yes! Connection, engagement with other people. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. I can't with removing people from the process misses the whole point. I would still question how a lot of these things are being used if we were using them for other things, but I truly cannot comprehend using them for art at all, in any way, at all. I think it's so gross. And then passing it off as your own work. Truly, I cannot handle... I despise people who are like, I'm an AI artist. No, you're not. You're a commissioner. You're commissioning art. You didn't make it. You didn't do anything. You didn't engage in the process. You're not an artist. Oh, but I made a prompt. So does people that commission me for art. They're not artists. They're not making the art. If someone commissioned me for art and I drew that art and I did all the work, and I sent it to them and then they went, this is my art, I'm the artist, I'm pretty pissed. That's awesome, Kenyon Soul. I hope they do it. I hope they do. Yeah, I think, so Fridges, I totally understand where you're coming from. The reason I don't engage in that argument is I don't think it's relevant to the issues, right? The way I describe it is if someone, tore apart a painting and threw it on the ground, the painting wouldn't stop being art, but it would still be something that someone went and fucked up and damaged. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And plagiarism remix algorithms, if we're being really honest with what they are, I don't think it really matters whether or not they are art. I don't think it's really, really relevant to why they're unethical or why they're damaging or why I can't stand them, because fundamentally what they are is they're taking a bunch of people's actual art and just throwing it on the ground and damaging it and burning it and fucking it up and then saying that it's somehow something new. And No, it's wild goofy, right? Like they have a total disdain for artists. I also just think that there's this like weird, like we come back into the talent thing they keep talking about. It is so weird because it's like, in what world, yeah. Oh my god, yeah, Spaghetti. Oh, it disturbs me. So, Spaghetti said, I'm a historian. One of my biggest pet peeves in regards to Gen AI is the anti-intellectualism in regards to using AI to research for you. Oh, it pisses me off. Machine learning algorithms don't have a concept of truth. They don't have a concept of falsehood. What they have